Before I begin, I would like to say a few things. If anybody that is hearing this doesn't like bloody, gory, or anything kind of like that, just like a horror movie or something, then this is not the video you want to watch, because it's kind of based kind of like a horror slash crazy story that I'm about to read. And don't think the title of this story fools you that it's going to be cheerful or whatnot. It is not. It is crazy. If you want to read along, the link is in the description. But I warn you, this is not going to be pretty. The story is called Rarity's New Dress. Let's begin. It was a quiet day in Ponyville. Every pony was relaxing and enjoying the nice weather. The Pegasus ponies have cleared every single cloud in the sky. The young fillies were playing in the streets, and the mares were strolling along through the park. Every pony was taking the day off. There was one pony, though, diligently working. It was Rarity, who had spent the entire day in her shop, the Carousel Boutique. No pony really noticed where she was. The issue hasn't been brought up until her best friend Fluttershy became worried. Fluttershy decided to enter her store and see what was up. When she entered the shop, she found piles of poorly made dresses scattered across the floor, and Rarity working hard at her sewing machine. Fluttershy approached her and said, "Hey Rarity, you want to come out and play? It's a really nice day. We can hang out together if that's okay." At first, Rarity did not respond, and Fluttershy began to back away from her. Suddenly, she turned around. She looked horrible. She was exhausted, unkempt, and her mane was dirty. This was unusual for Rarity, since she always cared about having a perfect appearance. "Fluttershy, I have a lot of work to do. I have to make a new unique dress by the end of the day, and I can't have any pony bothering me." Fluttershy responded awkwardly. "Okay, Rarity, I'm sorry. I'll let you get back to your work." Fluttershy started to leave the shop when suddenly Rarity stopped her. "Fluttershy, I have an idea. Maybe you can help me with my dresses," she said in a menacing tone. Fluttershy responded, "What would I do?" "Yeah, you'll know more about dressmaking than me. I need models for my dresses. I want you to go look for a model." So you want me to find some pony that will model your dresses?" Fluttershy said. "Yes, bring me Applejack. She would make a nice model." Fluttershy responded. "Okay, I'll go get Applejack. I'll get her over here as soon as I can." "Excellent," Rarity said. "Now go." Fluttershy left the boutique and headed towards the Sweet Apple Acres. About an hour later, Fluttershy returned with Applejack. They entered the store and found Rarity waiting there patiently. She looked excited. "Ah, perfect," she said. "Now, Applejack, would you please follow me to the basement?" Fluttershy and Applejack both looked at each other and responded, "The basement?" "Yes, the basement. Now, Applejack, please follow me." Hesitant, Applejack followed her downstairs. No pony had ever seen a basement, except for Rarity. Right before she opened the basement door, Rarity said, "Fluttershy, we're going to be working for a couple hours. I suggest you find something to do. You will be needed later, though." Fluttershy responded, "Okay, Rarity, whatever you say, I'll do it." Fluttershy left the shop and went back to her house. Fluttershy returned a couple hours later. When she entered the shop, she heard what seemed like a sink running from the basement. The water suddenly stopped, and Rarity emerged from the basement. "Where's Applejack?" Fluttershy asked. "Oh, she's fine. She's just finishing up downstairs." "Okay, so what do you want me to do now?" Fluttershy responded. "I need you to bring more friends. I needed them to be his model as well." Why would you need more than one model?" Fluttershy said curiously. "Just do it!" Rarity barked angrily. "Oh, okay, sorry for asking." Fluttershy left the shop. Several hours later, Fluttershy brought Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, and Twilight to Rarity. Rarity had instructed them to do the same as Applejack. Each of them was told to head downstairs while Fluttershy waited outside. When Rarity finally came out of the basement, she said, "Fluttershy, my masterpiece is almost complete." "That's great. Do you need me to do anything else?" "Yes, there is one more thing. I need you to come downstairs and critique my work." "Whatever you say," Fluttershy responded. Rarity ushered Fluttershy downstairs and locked the door behind him. The basement was dark and musty. It had an odd stench. It was unlike the rest of the shop. For a moment, Fluttershy thought Rarity left her until suddenly something struck her in the back of the head. Fluttershy woke up. Her head hurt. There was blood dripping down her mane. She found herself unable to move. Just a bit tighter and perfect. Rarity, what are you doing? Making a magnificent dress, of course. Rarity said excitedly. Fluttershy looked around the room. The room was dimly lit. There was a table with a bunch of bloody surgical tools scattered across it. Suddenly, she saw something odd. Rainbow? Twilight? She saw a bathtub and what looked like 4 ponies piled on top of each other. They were skin clean. They had their hooves chopped off, and their eyes removed from their sockets. They were missing most, if not all, their teeth. The bathtub was filled with blood and water. Rarity, how could you? Why? She started to sob. It's the perfect idea. I can use my friends to make the perfect dress. Rarity then grabbed Fluttershy's head and directed it to the right side of the basement. See? There was a sloppily made dress resting on a mannequin. It was poorly stitched and oddly colored. It had blue wings, orange hooves, and a purple mane, and a pink rump. All we need is a cutie mark, Rarity said excitedly. That isn't a dress. Those are our friends, you monster. Fluttershy couldn't control herself. You monster! She started to cry uncontrollably. Now, we can't have all that noise. Rarity went over to the table and took a bloody cloth. She tied it around Fluttershy's mouth, and while she struggled, There, all better. Now let's begin. Rarity took a scalpel off the table and started making an incision on Fluttershy's flank. She screamed and blood poured out of her flank. She started to kick and budge around wildly, which started to annoy Rarity. Oh, will you stop? She said playfully. Rarity went over to her table and flew out a sledgehammer. This will do the trick. With the hammer, Rarity smashed both of Fluttershy's legs. She screamed and cried as the blood trickled down from her hooves. Oh, and what were we going to do about those wings? She picked up a saw. Rainbow sure did a number on my saw. She was a fighter. It's always the Pegasus pony that struggled with me the most. Rarity began to force the saw with Fluttershy's wings. At the point, Fluttershy was starting to pass out. Her muffled screams had gone quieter and quieter. Rarity noticed she was fading. When she finished removing her wings, Rarity took the scalpel and inserted it to Fluttershy's eyes. There we go now. You won't fall asleep on me. Rarity took the scalpel and forcefully removed both of Fluttershy's eyelids. Fluttershy yelped in agony. Suddenly, Rarity noticed that she hadn't removed the part she wanted, her flank. Oh, I almost forgot. She took the scalpel and continued to remove her flank carefully. See, it's much easier when you're not kicking and screaming. Rarity then finished the incision. Look, Fluttershy, cutie mark and all. This will look perfect on my dress. Fluttershy was mumbling and could no longer speak clearly. Aw, you don't look too good, Fluttershy. You should see yourself right now. Rarity picked up a mirror from the table and stuck it in Fluttershy's face. Look at yourself. You're a mess. Fluttershy gazed into the mirror. She saw what was left of her. Her legs were broken, hooves bleeding, and she had no eyelids, no wings, and her flank was completely removed. Now what should I do with you? Suddenly, Rarity said, Idea! In excitement. I can use the rest for your fur to make more beautiful dresses. Rarity then picked up the scalpel. She looked at the scalpel in disappointment. Oh, this will take too long. I need something sharper. Rarity looked around for a bigger knife, but failed to find one. Maybe I have one upstairs. She rushed upstairs, leaving Fluttershy alone in the basement. Fluttershy was finally alone, away from that psychopath that her friend had become. She could barely breathe. She was losing blood fast. She started to cough up blood and puke. Suddenly, she heard something enter the shop from upstairs. Twilight? It yelled for. Applejack? Pinkie Pie? At this moment, Fluttershy could recognize the voice as Spike. Fluttershy tried to think of a way to get his attention to the basement. The only thing Fluttershy could move was her head, so she tried to slam her head against the table. Her body was laid on. It forced more blood out of her, but it worked. Spike heard the noise from the basement and headed to the door. Any pony? He started to walk downstairs and began to notice the gruesome events that have happened. he saw the 4 dead ponies in the tub, the poorly stitched together dress, and the barely alive Fluttershy on the table. "Fluttershy?" she said in worry. "Who did this?" Spike removed the bloody cloth from Fluttershy's mouth. Fluttershy softly spoke. "Reh, reh." She puked again all over herself. "Who?" At that moment, Rarity re-entered the basement with a long, rusty knife. "Oh, Spike, it's so nice to see you." Rarity tried to think of an idea to get rid of Spike. She dropped the knife. Suddenly, she continued her sentence. "Oh, Spike, in an orgasmic tone. She approached Spike and began to smother him. She started to make out with him. Spike, knowing there was something clearly bad going on, ignored it. He gave in to Rarity's advances. He let Rarity feel up his scales. Spike had an orgasm. He couldn't control himself. Rarity decided to go all the way. "Oh, Spike, I love you. Fuck me right here on top of Fluttershy." Spike agreed. They both got on top of Fluttershy, who was still alive and had hot, torrid sex. Rarity took Spike's tail and stuck it in her clit. She was pleasuring herself. "Oh yes! Oh yes!" Spike ejaculated. Some of them got it on Rarity, and some got it in Fluttershy's mouth. Rarity licked the sperm off on herself, and what went inside Fluttershy's mouth. Rarity enjoyed the sticky substance, but puked while licking it from Fluttershy's mouth. Satisfied, Rarity had an orgasm. When they finished, Rarity said, "How would we do that again, this time in my room?" Spike willingly agreed. They headed upstairs. They didn't notice that Fluttershy was choking on Rarity's puke. She could not breathe due to the brutal combination of blood, puke, and sperm in her mouth. With no hope of escape, Fluttershy took the last painful breath and died.